All right, joining us now for more discussions on this is Not In My Name International. Its secretary is Themba Masango, who joins us via the virtual platform. Mr. Masango, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Can I kick off this conversation and ask you the question, are we fighting a losing battle here in South Africa on the scourge of gender-based violence?
Good evening, Claudia, and good evening to the viewers. It may seem so because you probably know the statistics say that gender-based violence in South Africa is 5.1 times higher than anywhere in the world. And if you zero that down to particularly a township like Mamelodi, where I originally come from, it's one of the highest in the country. So, we're just behind Inanda and perhaps the Cape Flats. But it is really, really a scary situation where every single week you are having to find women being killed by known partners, or friends, or family members.
Yeah. And
it's a scourge that really needs the necessary attention and should have the national status of a pandemic almost.
Yeah. I'm glad you say that Mamelodi is where you come from. You know the place very well. Talk to us about what you think the problem is. Are there cases such as this one more frequent? And if so, why is that?
Well, I think, Mamelodi is a dipstick of the country itself. It is a township with a rich history, and it is a township also that has a painful past and history, especially when it comes to relationships between women and men. We are in a situation right now where we're having to relearn and unlearn a lot of things that we were taught in our past, by the socialization that we come from, which is very toxic. You cannot have a situation where you are out somewhere and just because you are buying drinks for somebody, it does not mean that you can then therefore automatically assume you've got a right to take them home with you and do whatever you please with them. And that's a mindset, unfortunately, that a lot of men have. And those are things that which we need to really, as men, come up against and speak out against and speak to each other about, whether it's at the Shisanyama, whether it's at the pub, whether it's at the car wash, be able to really bring down those toxic, traits that we almost inherently have by consciously, saying, guys, this is not the way to go. You cannot say this person umpuzile, therefore they deserve to die. Nobody deserves to die because you are out of pocket.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves to die in any way. So those are things that we really need to be able to speak to and about, particularly as men and in townships particularly.
Part of what you're saying has actually been a conversation all over social media since this story broke. And I'm glad you touch on it because I want us to talk next about the demeanor of the alleged perpetrator. Watching him on the stand today, the understanding is that he became emotional. Is that a sign of remorse or perhaps he's feeling sorry for himself?
Yeah, well, it seems like the man, is realizing what he has actually done. Excuse me, that's my son. He is realizing what he's actually done, and it's dawning onto him that, I've messed up royally here. I've killed 2 people. So I wonder whether this guy was high previously, or it's a situation of saying, I'm in trouble and I'm going to jail and I'm afraid of going to face the consequences of what I have done. If it is remorse, I'm glad that remorse is there. I'm glad that he's abandoned his bail because he would not be safe within the community. I think let him stay behind bars until a competent court can ventilate this issue and give him the necessary sentence that he's deserving within the context of South African law. But I just hope that this guy, is at least regretting what he's done. But it seemed to me that it's actually dawning on him when he heard the number of people outside, when he was faced with, the magistrate and, people in the gallery. I think that's when it dawned on him that I've really messed up here. And I think that's actually what brought tears to him. So I hope it's not a matter of I'm crying because I've been caught. It's rather that, I'm caught and I'm feeling remorse.
Yeah. It's certainly not the first case of its kind in our country. I can count to you the number of provinces, not just in Gauteng, where such has happened. And I'm wondering, what is the teachable lesson here that could be imparted to would-be perpetrators to say, women are not yours to own? Exactly what you've said. Just because I've bought you a drink does not mean you own me. I didn't ask you for this in the first place. So, what would be the ideal teachable lesson for people like the individual we're talking about? And let's be clear that he is not convicted yet. The case is still going to get underway. This was just the first appearance. And so I'm trying to, caution both of us from talking as if he is convicted already. We're hoping, of course, that evidence is going to come to support why he sits in a holding cell tonight.
And it's definitely going to be a test for, I think, a lot of us as South Africans, particularly the prosecuting authorities. You would know that the NPA has not been shrouded in glory, in the recent months. We look back at the Tebogo case, we look back at the Omotoso case, where there was a lot of bungling. We hope, for one, at this point, they'll, cross every T, that they'll eye every single dot. They'll make sure that this case is thoroughly investigated, and that if indeed Mnisi is the perpetrator, he receives the harshest of sentences, and that the law gets, discharged, not just fairly but quickly, so that you don't have the family having to go through, secondary trauma. And then, furthermore, I think what needs to happen is that we need to make sure that our judicial system is properly equipped to deal with these cases, so that we would deter perpetrators, and we need to be able to have a situation where they understand that we can't have people like this amongst us, because some of them are really not rehabilitatable.
Themba Masango, thank you very much for your time. I realize that you and I have to cut the conversation short, but a worthy discussion indeed. I can hear your son in the background there. Thank you very much for affording us your time tonight. Themba Masango is with Not In My Name International.